Welcome to this week's edition of Boxing Pick, the premier destination for boxing picks. My name is Hisham, and in this video we will be talking about the upcoming absolutely stacked card, the 5 vs 5 card from Saudi Arabia this Saturday. In the main event, we have Zhilei Zhang facing off against Deontay Wilder. That's going to be an interesting fight. We have on the undercard Raymond Ford facing off against Nick Ball. We also have Hamza Sheeraz facing off against Austin Ammo Williams. That's probably my favorite fight of this card. I'm looking forward to it very, very much. We also have Filip Hrgovic facing off against Daniel Dubois. And let's not forget, Dmitry Bivol will be back in the ring. He won't face Arthur Beterbiev, but he's going to face a late replacement, Malik Zinad. He's unbeaten, 22-0. That's going to be an interesting fight too. So let's get right into it. But before we do that, I would like to thank you for being here. If this is your first time that you're visiting our channel, please do subscribe to the channel and ring the bell so you always get notified when we upload new videos. Let's get right into it. I am joined by my partner, one of the greatest boxing minds we have in our sport, Stephen Breadman Edwards. Stephen, we have the upcoming 5 vs 5 card, an absolutely stacked card from Saudi Arabia this Saturday. Let's jump right into the main event. Zhilei Zhang versus Deontay Wilder. How do you see this fight playing out?
Man, this is a very, very tough fight to pick. Very tough for me. Because I am a person that believes in the smaller heavyweights. I believe that, if you got the stamina and certain things, and durability, then you can beat the bigger guys, so, with Wilder being kind of light in weight, being the best puncher of this era, and with Usyk, being light in weight and being the best heavyweight of this era, kind of proves my theory correctly. But
yes,
Zhang is really good. He seems very physically strong. His hands are faster than his body appears. I don't know if I've ever seen Zhang really light. He lost to Hrgovic, and I don't believe he lost to Joseph Parker. So I don't know if I've ever seen him lose a fight. And Wilder looked a little he didn't look good against Parker, let's be honest. I thought he lost every round of that fight, which is I can't figure out what could have happened to him to make him look that bad in that fight. So I don't know if he had an ailment or whatever going in, or if it's just slippage. But I didn't. That fight really surprised me. I believe that there was a time in Wilder's career where he knocked out Joseph Parker within 3 or 4 rounds. So
yes. He said he said, Stephen, yes. He said on what you were saying just now, Wilder had a response to that. He said that during the Parker fight, he said he wasn't feeling himself. He was his spirits on the inside. He just wasn't feeling like a warrior. He had a different mindset, and he said that that's absolutely gone now. He's back to his vicious old self. That's what he said.
Okay. We'll see. Man, this is a tough pick because I feel like Zhang is a big target for Wilder, but Wilder's legs bother me now that everybody is pushing him back.
Yeah.
And it just bothers me the way he looks when he gets pushed back now. So
it looks fragile.
Yes. I'm just going to flip a coin. I say that the fight has to end in a knockout.
I say so too. That's actually the thing that I'm most certain about, Stephen. I agree with you.
Yes. I'm not that certain. Yes. I'm not that certain on the outcome, but I am certain that the fight will end in a knockout.
I feel the same way. The fight to not go the distance is a -400, but I feel that that's pretty good value because I really can't see this fight going the distance. Both of them get tired after the mid-stage. Both of them are vulnerable, right?
And I don't see it going the distance. I don't see it going like far in rounds. Like, I don't see the fight going past maybe the 8th round. I
Mm-hmm.
would be surprised if it did. So I don't know. Tough fight. I would rather just pick the knockout.
I agree with that.
But I just feel like I feel like he's a big target, and that that Wilder could hit him early and get him out of there. I think anybody who Wilder hits clean, he can get out of there. It's just a matter of him stepping into the shot. He doesn't like when
That's
people
true.
crowd him. He wants to
Mm-hmm.
have room to kind of step into his shot. So I'm more comfortable just betting a knockout.
That sounds very good to me, Stephen. I agree with you. One thing that's very interesting, Zhilei Zhang is, he will be probably by far the heaviest guy that Wilder has faced. He's heavier than almost any other heavyweight. He came in at 291 pounds in his last fight. And that will be an even bigger contrast to Joe Parker. Joe Parker weighed in, I think, around 250 or a little bit less. If Wilder comes in 225, 230, and Zhang is 290, that will be a really big contrast.
You know what, though? See, I don't. I'm not a fan of 300-pound boxers. I don't believe you can have good cardio if you're that big. Not boxing cardio, anyway. There's no such thing as a 300-pound marathon runner or a 300-pound distance runner. And boxing is an endurance-based sport. So,
Yeah.
I know he's big, but if he don't get, you're going to have stamina issues if you're that big, no matter what kind of shape you're in. It's just, your heart has to pull around all that mass, and that mass needs maintenance, blood, oxygen, water, whatever. So I just, a guy that big, it only matters to me is if he's hitting you and he gets you out of there early, because it becomes a liability after a certain point in the fight.
And that's what usually happens to Zhang. He gets tired later in the fights. If we look at the blemishes on his record, Stephen, you said that you don't believe he has lost any fight. Let's look at the two of them. First of all, when he fought Filip Hrgovic, most people would agree with you that he appeared to win the fight, didn't he?
Yes.
He did. And they gave it a close decision to Filip Hrgovic. Now, the other loss that he has when he lost to Joseph Parker, I think that he was really impressive. He has very good skills. He has really good skills for being such a big man. But the thing is, in most of the rounds when he wasn't landing those 2 or 3 big punches in the fight that he did, in most of the other rounds, he really wasn't doing enough. To your point, what you said, he didn't have any energy. He looked tired.
Yeah, he definitely does get tired, but I'm still not sure if Parker beat him. I just think Parker fought out of the trouble. Plus, he dropped Parker twice.
Twice, yes.
I have a really... Parker would have had to win. If you get dropped twice in a 12-round fight, you have to win 8 rounds in order to win the fight. And I didn't see Parker winning 8 rounds. Even if you win 7 rounds, you still get a draw, 113 if you get dropped twice. So I don't know if I saw Parker win 8 rounds, to be honest. So like I said, I still haven't seen Zhang lose a fight conclusively. And I know he beat Hrgovic. He got robbed that fight. Yeah. So it's a tough fight, but it does scare me. His stamina does scare me. So that's why I can't pick him with a bullet. And Wilder's legs and his stability scared me. I didn't like the way he was getting pushed around against Parker. And I know Parker's a little bit more active and agile than Zhang, but I just didn't like the way it looked. And maybe Wilder worked off some rust. I don't know. I don't know what was going on with him. I know he says it was mental, but
and he was inactive also. Don't forget that. He was very inactive leading up to that fight.
Yeah, he was. It's a lot of reasons. He had only fought 1 round since the third Fury fight, a fight in which he lost really bad. So you just never know. The Fury fights could have took his toll on him. I was there when he got stopped by Fury in the third fight. He took an awful beating. You know
That
what I
was tough.
mean? He
That was very tough.
took a bad beating, and when you get a long drawn out beating, and then you get the exhaustion knockout, that's tough. You know, so I
Yeah.
really don't know what we're gonna see out of Wilder. To be honest, I know Zhang's older, but I think he's probably fresher. I haven't seen Zhang get beat up. You know,
He has
but
a good chin too. He doesn't get
yeah,
dropped.
yeah, big head. But guess what? Wilder's a titanic puncher.
Yeah.
You know, he's a titanic puncher. So he's the best puncher of this era. So if anybody could drop Zhang, it would be him. But
I agree with you. And
Wilder,
yes, please go
Wilder
ahead.
has an issue for me. Is he's a big puncher, but he doesn't have a lot of physical strength, which is different.
Yeah.
And you can push Wilder around. So this fight is perplexing me. I'm comfortable with picking somebody gets knocked out, the actual picking the winner. But I'm kind of leaning towards Zhang, but I just can't count Wilder out because when you got a guy with that's a big target like that, you know, Wilder he's gonna go for it. You know, he knows what happened to him in his last fight, and I'm sure he doesn't want to take a sustained beating from this guy. So he's gonna go for it. So Wilder's gonna be very, very, very dangerous early in this fight.
I think so too, Stephen. One thing that I really believe is that if this fight goes the distance, it's very hard to see Wilder outboxing Zhang for 12 rounds. If it would go the distance, which we really can't see happening at all. But say if some miracle happens and it goes the distance, I think it would be Zhang winning most of the rounds. Don't you think?
Yeah, especially early. Early. Yep. I think he'll put a lot of rounds in the bank. Wilder is not the best boxer in the world. We kind of all know that, where you can kind of outbox him and score points against him. We've seen plenty of fighters, even in his prime on his best day, win a lot of rounds against him. You know, we've seen Luis Ortiz, you know, even guys like Gerald Washington. And
that's true.
You know, they Spilka.
Even Arthur Spilka was winning rounds. Yeah, that's true.
So it's not hard to win rounds against him. So I definitely could think, and I don't know if he wants Zhang hitting him. You know, Zhang's a big puncher, and he puts his punches together.
Accurate puncher, also.
Yeah, yes, very sharp, very coordinated, and he has a two-fisted attack. He can fight. You know, tough fight. This is a tough fight for Wilder. You know, it really is. But I'm gonna keep saying it. Zhang is a big target. When you're that big, you're a big target. There's not so much you can do to get out of the way of punches. And Wilder's very fast, and he's very explosive with that right hand.
That is a very good point, Stephen, because if we talk about Zhang having, you know, he has good defense, he has a good chin, but he's never been in with anybody with remotely the kind of, you know, the fast 1-2 coming in from Wilder. He's never faced that. So we don't know actually if he will be able to see it every time.
That's Wilder's gift. That's why I like him light in weight, because when he's fast, these guys, people call him a one-trick pony, but, you know, they can't outrun the pony, most of the guys in this era, you know, because they can't brace for the shot. They can't, like, their reaction time, they can't like calibrate their reaction time to brace for the shot. It's like fighting a light heavyweight with that shot. He's very, very fast for that shot.
Yeah. That's true. I heard you say one time, Stephen, that in an interview where you said that even if one guy has, if I remember it correctly, if a guy has like one good gift, if we talk about Wilder, the fast 1-2 in and out, or say Jermall Charlo's jab, even if you are aware of it, it's still very difficult to stop, isn't it, when you're in with him?
Yeah, you know why? Because people like to label guys and they say it like in a negative way. I always say this. You only have two hands. So, like, you know, like when somebody says a guy is like a one-handed fighter, I'm like, well, guess what? He only has two hands. So his options are either he's going to hit you with his left hand or hit you with his right hand.
Yeah.
So when, you know, like, it's kind of ridiculous when I hear that, because it comes down to that. It's not like, you know, you got options and you got 10, 15 different options, and the only thing you're doing is that one thing. You only have two hands to hit a guy with. It's only but
That's
so
true.
many punches you can throw. You know, and I
That's true.
also understand that the late great Nazem Richardson once told me that sometimes a guy that can do one thing really well is a little bit more dangerous than a guy who can do a variety of things. And his explanation was, when you go in your toolbox, if you have too many things in your toolbox, you can get confused on what to take out. You don't know if you're going to take out a shotgun, a machine gun, or a handgun, or a revolver. You don't know. But when you got one thing that you're going to go in there for, you already know exactly where you're going to go. You already know exactly what you're going to do. And it makes your mind quicker because you don't have the options to go get 4 or 5 different things.
That's very true.
He told me that when I was a very, very, very early in training fighters, and he was absolutely correct. And it always stuck with me. It always stuck by me. Sometimes I'll just do one thing over and over again to enhance a guy's gift. You know, I've never been critical of Deontay Wilder, you know, being a one-hand fighter, or he can't box, or he can't do this, because he's exceptional at the one thing he does. And sometimes you can take away from a guy by trying to do too much.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, yeah, like I don't subscribe to that. We've seen some great fighters who favor one side over the other.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it's not like Andre Ward favored his left hand. Oscar De La Hoya favored his left hand. You know, Miguel Cotto favored his left hand. You know, that we've seen some really good fighters who favor one side a great deal. And I don't really, you know, think it's as a bigger deal as people make it out to be, because the fight only has 2 hands. So okay, he favors that one side. Let's see if you can stop it. You know, if you look at Terrence Crawford really good, he favors his right hand. He's he's right-handed, converted southpaw. He's very, very right-hand dominant fighter, but he's still special.
That's true.
You know,
very difficult to stop. Yes.
So I don't
the
subscribe
conclusion,
to that.
Stephen, we said this fight to not go the distance, -400. That sounds like very good value, because both you and I, we have a very difficult time seeing this going the distance. Very difficult to see it.
Yes.
-400 sounds like a gift. So that's the pick. Deontay Wilder versus Zhilei Zhang to not go the distance, -400 or 1.25 in decimal odds. We're going to move on to the next fight. Before we do that, if this is your first time visiting our channel, we would like to thank you for being here, and please subscribe to our channel. That helps us grow very much. We appreciate it. We're going to move on, Stephen. Let's go to Raymond Ford versus Nick Ball. Raymond Ford comes from Camden, New Jersey. That's not very far where you live, Stephen, in Philadelphia.
Yes.
Do you know him personally?
I've been around him. I don't want to say I know him personally, but I've met him before. And we've had like interaction in the gym, but I wouldn't say I
What
like
have
know
you
him
seen
personally.
from him? What do you think of him as a fighter?
He's very good, very strong, very athletic, very confident. He's good, real good.
He was ranked the #1 amateur as a featherweight when he was back in the USA team. So we know that he has the amateur pedigree. He's been around for a good while.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see Raymond Ford's last fight when he was fighting that? I'm not sure if he was an Uzbek guy. He was trailing on points. They were fighting for a vacant belt, and he just took over the fight, and he stopped him with only a few seconds left in the fight. What did you take away from seeing that fight?
He has a big heart, very, 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 very big heart, big heart. I was very impressed because he was losing, he was getting outboxed, but he stuck to it. A lot of fighters, they kind of like give it up when they're getting outboxed, and they just kind of just allow themselves to lose. But Raymond Ford was very stubborn. He was very stubborn. He said, "I'm not going to just accept that this guy is outboxing me," and he kept pushing the fight. He kept pushing the fight. He was hitting him with a lot of good body shots. I was very impressed with his will and determination, because that's how he won that fight. That was a heart check fight. He took that guy's heart.
Yep, he really did. Took his heart and soul,
Yep.
everything. But the other guy, he's pretty experienced as an amateur. You could see that, but he reminds me of some type of amateur fighters. That they can't sustain it for 12 rounds. He was just coming on so strong early, and they can't sustain it.
Well, he's a big puncher too. He has a lot of knockouts, so he's not. So he's not used to going on the other side. I call it the other side, where the guy that you're fighting, he's not going anywhere. And not only is he not going anywhere, but he's also pressing you, and he's also still trying to win, and he's also challenging your stamina and your skills. And it's a lot of mental pressure when you're used to knocking guys out. And then you got somebody that just won't discourage and won't stop trying to fight you.
That's true.
I felt as though he got his heart taken. I honestly do. I felt as though that he kind of just gave it up and sort of like emotionally almost quit. I didn't like how he responded to Raymond Ford's pressure coming down the stretch. That's a fight I could never invest in emotionally or bet on. When he pretty much, he was a front runner. If we're being honest, that's what he was. He was running hard early, and Ford didn't break, and then he kind of just
broke down himself. He broke down.
Yeah. So I don't remember his name, but that's a guy I would never count on in the fight.
I think his name was maybe Kolmatov or something like that, but I don't think I didn't get the impression that he was trying to quit or something like it. It wasn't that. It was just he was just taken apart, wasn't he?
It wasn't like a quit, turn your back and surrender, but more or less capitulate. Like, you know what, this guy don't have it. I mean, this guy's not going anywhere, and you just kind of you give in to the pressure.
Yeah,
that's kind of what true. I saw.
Raymond Ford showed he had good technique, he had good power, he had everything actually for that size. Looked very good, very impressive.
The only issue I would have with Ford, though, is that he was losing pretty bad, in my opinion.
Was it that clear?
I thought he was getting outboxed. If he didn't go to the scorecards, I thought he would have. If it went to the scorecards, I thought he would have lost. So I thought he was getting outboxed. So it's not a big issue because that guy can fight and he can box. But that is something that you got to look at later to see, how he's developing as a fighter.
That's true. That's true. So if we look at the opponent, this is a very good fight. Just all these fights getting made in Saudi, excellent fight. He's fighting Nick Ball. We saw Nick Ball a few months ago when he fought against Ray Vargas. Did you happen to see that fight?
Yeah, he won. That's the only time I've ever seen him fight, but he won that fight.
He won that fight. It ended with a draw.
Yeah, he got robbed.
Many people agree with that. At first, my thoughts on Ray Vargas. I have personally always liked Ray Vargas. I just like him. I know that you haven't been very high on him before. I just like him. His character. He's a tough fighter, like so many other Mexicans. Experienced.
He's pretty good. He's pretty good. I thought he lost that fight, but he's pretty good.
But the thing with that fight, when I was looking at it, Stephen, I thought that he was outboxing Nick Ball a little bit early on. He was making him miss until he got hurt.
Yeah, but that's part of a fight. Getting hurt is part of a fight.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I think he showed that Nick Ball can be outboxed. But I'm also very impressed with Nick Ball because he is so physically strong. It's not usual to see guys weighing in, in that weight class being so physically strong. He's really strong. He hits hard.
Well, he's only about 5'2", so that explains it. If you 5'2" fighting at lightweight, you're gonna have a high muscle content. So
he resembles Nick Ball resembles another fighter. It's almost. I don't know if I'm missing something here, Stephen. Please fill me in. It feels like they're almost twins in the ring. Nick Ball and Isaac Cruz. They're just so similar.
Yeah. Isaac Cruz can go. So I don't want to say he's up there yet. Isaac Cruz.
No. But he's better, but their style.
Yeah, they're very similar. I think Isaac Cruz hits a little bit harder. But they are similar.
They're just so similar in my eyes. You know, the way they keep their guard, the way they come in with the big overhand rights, the way they fight, their demeanor.
Mm-hmm.
And both of the guys, their idol must be Mike Tyson, because both of them resemble how he used to fight a little bit.
I can see what you're saying. Yep.
I think I heard, at least I haven't heard Nick Ball saying it, but I heard Isaac Cruz saying it one time. He used to look up to Mike Tyson. He tries to do, you know, some of the things that he does. But this will be a very, very interesting fight. I just think that if we look at the last opponent Nick Ball faced, Ray Vargas, I would think that Raymond Ford would have all the advantages against a guy like that. Raymond Ford is a better boxer. He's a better puncher. I think he's stronger than Ray Vargas. What would you say to that?
I agree.
Okay, Steven. So in this fight, the favorite is Raymond Ford. Nick Ball, you can find him at a plus 130. Raymond Ford, minus 160. I strongly believe that Raymond Ford takes care of business. And this is not there's no home advantage for either fighter. Although, you know, it's the British promoters. It's in Saudi. I think we should get a fair shake on this fight.
Okay.
Are you okay with picking Raymond Ford to come away with the victory?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I don't know. I've only seen Ball fight one time, so I'm much more comfortable picking Ford.
Okay, I agree with that. I think that Raymond Ford wins this fight. I don't even think it's impossible that he. I would lean towards a decision, but I don't think it's out of the question that Raymond Ford breaks him down either, because I don't think he's been hit with as many punches as Raymond Ford will land on him. But the pick is Raymond Ford to simply win the fight by any means necessary. Our next fight, Hamza Sheeraz facing off against Austin Ammo Williams on the undercard on the 5 versus 5 card. Steven, what have you seen from Austin Ammo Williams? What do you think of him as a fighter?
He's good. You know, seems really strong. Seems pretty athletic. He's solid fighter. You know, I see he's a big underdog in this fight. I don't know a lot about his opponent, but I did see him fight Liam Williams, and he's really tall and he seems like a big puncher. So
yeah,
you know,
Hamza Sheeraz is a really tall fighter from the UK. They're touting him to be, to go a very long way, and I think he's very talented. Which is also why I'm very impressed that this fight got made. We wouldn't have seen this fight at this stage of his career this early. But they believe in him. He's big, he's tall. But the thing is, and he's powerful. He has a very powerful jab. He's actually one of the few guys that you will see that will score like real knockdowns with his jab. He's done it several times. He knocked down Liam Williams with his jab, and he's knocked down several other opponents. He hits hard. But for me, when looking at this fight, he stands just so upright, Hamza Sheeraz. Very talented, but he's really upright. He stands very tall. I haven't seen any head movement whatsoever, no head movement. He hasn't had to use it very much. And I do feel that he has had many handpicked opponents, so he hasn't had to use it. And the thing is, he hasn't faced anyone that resembles Austin Ammo Williams. Ammo Williams had a short amateur career. I read that he only had 47 fights, and he turned professional. And since then, he's been improving fight after fight after fight. So many people, they've seen him. He has some flaws, but he's getting better and better. And what I like about Ammo Williams is that he's just so athletically gifted. He's so fast. He feels powerful. He is reactive. I'm very impressed with him. I think he'll go a long way, and I think he'll come out this weekend with a tremendous statement. Nobody's expecting him to win. I think he will win the fight.
Okay. See, I'm not picking him because I haven't seen.
You haven't seen too much of him. I understand.
Yeah, I've seen Williams, and he's a solid prospect, but I don't know if this is too much too soon. And he's an underdog for a reason. You know, my line of thinking on it is like I'm kind of, if I don't have a definitive feel of the fight, I kind of like stay away from it. So I don't know. It seems like the other guy is further along. If I'm not mistaken, the other guy is 19-0. But to be honest, I know this might offend some people, but You know, UK fighters kind of, in these kind of fights, Americans usually beat them up. So that's another issue for me. Is
Yeah,
I don't have like the faith, like, oh my God, he's gonna kill all Emma Williams. You know what I mean? I definitely don't feel like that about the fight. So it's a tough fight to pick, because a lot of times, it's just different training in America. The trainers are different, the styles is different. It's just a different ball game. So I could see either guy winning the fight.
I
But
agree.
from what I saw, you know, Hamza, I think his name is. He
Hamza,
just
yes.
seems a little bit further along and a little bit more mature, and that does count.
But I think if we're looking at their talent level, I just think that Austin Hammer Williams, he's just a more natural ability from the inside. And I'm not even talking about what I've seen from him this fight week. I think he's saying all the right things. He's very confident. He really believes in himself. And I can see from what he's saying, he's going to do anything he can to win this fight. And given that the odds are plus 175, we're not just saying who's going to win the fight. We're trying to look for value. And in my opinion, I know you haven't seen so much of him, Stephen. I just think that all the value is on Austin Ammo Williams. I really believe that. I actually think that he's going to catch him with something big and knock him out. And that's going to be a real big thing to happen if it happens.
I can
But
see
either
that.
way, I think he wins.
I can see that. UK prospects are, for whatever reason, and I'm like a big Prince Nassim guy. Like, there's a lot of UK fighters that I really, really enjoy and think very highly of. But a lot of UK prospects kind of shit the bed, to be honest with you, especially against Americans. So I
Yeah.
can definitely see that.
And before we wrap this up, Stephen, the last thing, don't forget, Hamza Sheeraz, he's being built up. If you look at his record, he has a lot of nice wins, but just look at them closely. Many of them have been handpicked to make him look good. When he fought Liam Williams last time around, that was a shell of Liam Williams. That was just nothing like the Liam Williams that once was a very tough fighter. There was nothing left of him. He was getting rocked with every shot he got hit with, the jab, anything.
Well, that's how matchmaking goes. You put an older
Yep.
fighter in the ring with a younger stud, and you find out what the young stud is. If he's good, he gets him out of there. And if he struggles with it, then you can't invest in the younger fighter. So that's
Yep.
just the science of matchmaking.
That's true. That's true. Okay, we're going to wrap this up, Stephen. My pick for this fight, I really believe in Austin Ammo Williams. I wouldn't be surprised if he knocked him out. I mean, completely knocked him out cold. I can see that happening. But either way, I see him being he's just too quick, too explosive. Plus 175, I think that's tremendous value. We have to take that. Austin Ammo Williams to win the fight. Is there anything else you would like to add, Stephen, before we end this video?
Nope, that's it. Got to get the training.
Okay. Thank you. See you next week, Stephen. Take care.
All right.
We're going to move on now. We have two more fights to break down. One of them will be Filip Hrgovic when he faces off against Daniel Dubois. I feel that Filip Hrgovic is the better boxer of the two. I cannot see Daniel Dubois outboxing Filip Hrgovic at all. I think if Daniel Dubois is to win, he has to land one big punch. He basically has a puncher's chance, in my opinion. And I don't think he will land it. So therefore, I see Filip Hrgovic winning this fight by outboxing Daniel Dubois. And if Dubois fades, I think he probably gets to him and stops him. But the pick for this fight will be Filip Hrgovic simply to win the fight. You can find that at a minus 250. I think that's good value. Now we're going to move on to the last fight, and that will be Dmitry Bivol when he faces off against late replacement Malik Zinad. Malik Zinad is unbeaten with a record of 22-0 with 16 knockouts. He comes from Libya. He's had a nice record. He's beaten some decent, most of them journeymen, but some a little bit better than journeymen. But he's never faced anyone elite, and he's certainly never faced anyone as good as Dmitry Bivol. So I think Malik Zinad will be out of his league. he will be outclassed. Zinad is very aggressive. He comes forward, but he leaves himself open to counters, and he really doesn't have a back foot like, say, Lyndon Arthur that Dmitry Bivol faced in his last fight. Bivol got a lot of backlash when he fought Lyndon Arthur because he couldn't get rid of him. But the thing is, Lyndon Arthur has a very good jab, and basically after a few rounds in that fight, his only mission was to try to survive to the end of the fight, which he did. He was near getting stopped anyway, but he managed to survive the whole fight. This is a fight, I think, after so many performances where Bivol just, wins a decision, I think Bivol will be too much for Malik Zinad, and I think he will stop him. The prop odds for this fight got released today, so I think there is still tremendous value. You can get the fight to not go the distance at a -120, which is very good value, because I do think that Dmitry Bivol breaks him down, stops him. Maybe he knocks him down with a good shot. Maybe he just totally dominates it and the referee jumps in late in the fight. But either way, I see Dmitry Bivol winning by a stoppage, or you can just take the fight to not go the distance, -120 to -125, which is 1.80 in decimal odds. Those were the picks for this week. We hope you enjoyed it. Gamble responsibly, of course, everybody. And thank you for being with us. Please subscribe, like I said before, subscribe to our channel. That really helps us grow. We're going to produce more and more content for you guys, and we'll keep improving the channel every way we can. So enjoy the fights and see you next week. Goodbye.